Welcome to this tutorial on Project Zomboid. If you're here, you should just be a absolute beginner or perhaps never even played the game and you want to survive longer than you have been, or perhaps you're struggling and you need some tips. So you've come to the right place. This is a survival guide along with some tips. Um, so let's not waste any time. Let's get going. We're here in the apocalypse. This is Rosewood. That's one of the starting cities. It's the starting city that I would highly recommend that you start in. It has the least amount of zombies, and it has some of the best bases you can get in the game. Fire department is the one I would recommend you try to take. You go on the map here, and you look. It's right here if you're looking for it. And once you, this is definitely the area that I would recommend that you start your base. There's some other good ones. I also had a base one time in the, this is the supermarket right here. That's a good base too. It has an instant roof, and roofs are always good. This map, while we're on it, it's always good to mark up the map where you've been. These arrows usually point to generators, where there were generators. That's always good. I usually use exclamation points for sledgehammers or stuff that I found, or welders masks. The apple means that I've looted it, and I've looted the food, some of the food, or most of the food out of it. So but that's again a good thing to use the mini map. Mark it up, and certainly mark it up with it's a good thing. So you have to go back and look and see what you've done. But for definitely, if you want to know where generators are and you weren't able to pick it up, it's really good to do that. Okay, so the biggest thing that I can leave you with in this video, I can't stress this enough. The biggest enemy in this game is not the zombies. It is yourself. Yes, look at yourself. And the main weapon this game has against you are two things: laziness and overconfidence. I can't stress that enough. I don't usually die now because I just made a bad strategical move or did something stupid. Overconfidence is stupid, I guess. But what I'm saying is, usually what gets me now is my overconfidence. And I had a game several months ago. I was 150 days in. I've got all the cars. I'm locked and loaded. Endless food supply, endless water. I've cleared the whole town, and I just think I'm the cat's meow. And I stopped at this intersection, and there were about 20 zombies, and I mowed them over with my car and said, you know what, I need some tailoring supplies. So let me jump out of here. Looked around. I did the right thing. I looked around for about 30 seconds. Nothing. I'm like, oh, okay. So I start looting, and a zombie came up, grabbed me. It was just a glancing blow. It wasn't that bad. I shoved him off, killed him, and then I go to the hit the wrong thing there. I go to the health and see the dreaded bitten, and that was over. That run was over. So that is the point I want to make. Don't get overconfident. It's the main weapon the game has against you. If there's anything that I can leave you with in this video, you need to fight that. I mean, this is a survival world. This is full survival mode, no mods, and I'm doing real well. You know, I've cleared the base. I've got a whole wall here. Everything's good to go. Okay, so let's talk about first base strategy, base mechanics. It's a whole art unto itself. And securing your base should be one of the things you want to do in the first 7 to 10 days. It's not necessarily a top priority, but it's pretty high up there. Don't want to let that linger. What do I mean by base security? I mean simple things like barricading the windows. And you can see I've got these barricaded. They've actually already been attacked a little bit. But barricading the windows with is a minimum. And for nothing else, you want to hear them, especially if this window has been bashed in, they can just come right in and get you. So make sure you secure the windows. I even like to take my damaged cars and put them in front of them. That's another added layer of security. Definitely have that. So base security is big. Another thing that's really underrated, and I didn't pay attention to in the beginning are log walls. Really, first of all, the nice thing about this, you don't even need to have it requires no skills in carpentry. You can literally right click on the menu, go to wall, there's a log wall, and all it needs is 4 logs and 4 ripped sheets, which you can acquire very easily. I mean, you can rip up some clothing off a dead zombie. You can just start ripping away socks, and you're going to have that covered pretty easily. And then if you get an axe, you can go down and cut some trees down. It's literally that easy. Speaking about axes, while I'm thinking about that, I do not like to use axes for weapons for what I just told you. Save those for the trees. You may need a lot of walls here. And one of the reasons I built this wall was because initially when I first started this game, I got a lot of trouble. They actually, and that's always the risk at the beginning, but I think I was fighting like 40 or 50 zombies. They destroyed the garage door. And I knew I was going to put my generator here, so I just built this huge log wall around it. Speaking of generators, I know I'm kind of jumping around here, but generators are something you want to try to acquire in the first 30 days if you can. And you just right click on it. You have to turn it off to put gas in it, but you can always go and see what the fuel's at, which is 70%, and the condition 95%. So just keep an eye. The condition takes a long time it takes forever for that to go down, but you can repair it with your electrical skills, with scrap electronics, and you can repair these. Again, you need to turn it off. In order to do that, let's turn it off. If you turn it off now, you can see I can. I'm sorry, I don't have a fuel can on me. That's why I can't actually put fuel in it. But if I turn it off now, you can see now I've got no power. The power has already gone out. Let's go turn it back on. And there we go. We've got power now, which is good. One thing quickly about the generator, it will make noise. It will attract zombies. So just keep in mind, it's a good idea to put that in a very secure area with walls around it. Cuts down on the noise significantly. So just keep that in mind. And whatever you do, do not put the generator inside. This game is hyper realistic. If you put that in there, you're going to die from carbon monoxide poisoning. So always have the generator outside. Okay, quickly on base organization. Very important. I used to just throw everything everywhere. That may seem okay, and maybe you've got your own system, but I will tell you that if it's generally, I mean, I don't have OCD about it, but I like to kind of keep things like here. I like to keep my clothes. Here, I like to keep weapons, as you can see. And so, generally speaking, I keep in here I've got some medical supplies. I think here we've got tailoring supplies. Over here, I think I've got carpentry supplies. Don't keep it semi-organized, I guess I would say, because if you get into an emergency and you need to run in here and find something and you've got everything scattered, you may not find that in time. You may die. So just keep in mind, base organization is important. Don't while I'm here, don't be too don't worry about like for instance, I wasn't using this side of the base, so I put some log walls here. I mean, don't feel too just go ahead and do it. If you're not using a portion of the base, always good to sort of block it off. And like I said, base security. Keep your base security high because it's going to save your life. If you fail to secure your base, a zombie or two will come and get you, and they will likely kill you. Okay, now let's talk about cars a little bit. Cars are very, very important in this game. For one thing, you can get around just a whole lot easier. Now, you might be tempted, once you get your first few cars, to start mowing over the zombies. It's a good way to start clearing out hordes, and you can do it so much quicker. Again, you're kind of fighting your laziness. Maybe I should have just taken these guys, and now I do this more often. I rarely start mowing down zombies with cars, unless I've got a lot of cars. And I mean a lot of cars, like 20 cars, and I've got the ability to repair those cars. Then I don't really have a problem with it. But if you're only on like your first or second car, that can be a mistake. So just keep that in mind. The car's going to take a lot of damage, and if you don't have the ability to repair that car, I highly recommend you don't do it. Also keep in mind this is going to generate a lot of noise. Now, if you have the area already pretty clear like I do, killing these few zombies probably isn't going to be a big deal. But just keep in mind, if you're just starting out and you get a car and you start doing this, you're probably going to generate, I mean, you could get 60, 70 easy without blinking an eye. Okay, so that's the thing about cars. Never work on cars out in the open. This is what I wanted to talk about, the overconfidence. This may seem fairly obvious, but I always pull it in a garage or a very, very secure area before I start working on a car. Usually, I'll put that in the garage. Okay, and let's continue with the overconfidence theme. Yes, this is a big one. One of the things I talked about is when you come into a building and you haven't been here before, this has gotten me so many times. I just coming along, turn this corner, and there's a zombie right there. Always watch these hallways very. In fact, I usually have my weapon out, ready to swing it, and go very slowly. This is how I do it. Weapon out, looking around, and making sure the area is clear. If it's clear, it's good. That's usually gets me. So careful when you're making those turns. I'm not making that up. That has gotten me so many times. I'm getting overconfident, and sometimes I'm just sprinting, which is the worst thing you can do. I'm just sprint right into one. So always take your time. It's like, so for instance, if I'm going around this corner right here, I usually take a wide sort of turn there. Okay, that's one big thing. Another one that gets me a lot are doors. Yes. You basically, this gets me more often than not. And again, it's an overconfidence thing. So, you're here at the door and you don't hear anything. And this is where it usually happens. I've cleared this whole building. This is the last door I need to go into. And I don't hear any banging on the door because, after all, zombies always respond and hear you and they'll bang on the door. But there's that one that didn't. You open it up and boom, he grabs you, gets you, you're bitten, game over. So just keep that in mind, that just because you made a whole lot of noise and you cleared this building doesn't mean there's a zombie here that's in la-la mode and he gets you and that's it. So be very careful. So when I open doors, again, usually I open it and turn back and then get the weapon ready to go and kind of look in there. You can see if the room's lit up. Never go into a dark room. Get a little bit of light in there. Everything looks good. So another huge tip. Now back to the overconfidence thing. I think I told you guys that something that got me a few weeks back where I had a big amount of zombies here and I started looting them. Looting zombies after you just killed them is dangerous because you probably made a lot of noise and there's a zombie that's way out on the periphery. He comes, he gets you, that's it. Usually what I do now is if I kill a bunch of zombies like this, especially with a car, I'll come back a day later and chances are that's going to be a lot safer. If you wait 30 seconds, you'd be surprised. Like here, I didn't even see, there, point in case, right there. Didn't even see that zombie, and there's a chance he would have turned around and saw me. I'm actually glad that just happened because that is why this is extremely dangerous. And I'm sitting here, I'm looting corpses, and you're just you might not even see me. You might come through one of your screens, and he gets you. So just keep that in mind. That make sure the area is clear, A, and B, maybe come back a little bit later. There's another guy. See, he popped out. So come back a day later. Chances are it's going to be a little bit safer for you to operate. So that's just a huge tip. And while we're on the subject, oh, somebody's calling me. Hold on. Okay, that literally was horrible. Somebody called me, interrupted me, and did I get bitten there? I think I did. No, he didn't. I had enough. He's biting me in the backpack. By the way, that's good. That just happened. I mean, I'm thinking of all these things. If you are going to get bitten, and I've actually had this. It's actually saved me a couple of times where this guy came here, and I try to angle it, and I can't like shove him, or it's just an emergency situation. Always get better to have that backpack. He just bit me twice on the backpack, and nothing happened. So that's another big thing too. Just keep in mind your areas of defense, what you've got, and you can look at that, and you can go to protection. You can see what's protected and what's not. Obviously, I've got tremendous protection on the head, 100%. That means, well, you know what that means. But yeah, keep in mind you want to get gloves. You want to have as much of this covered as possible. I will tell you that heat is another problem in this game. Keeping an eye on your temperature. Yes, you can actually get overheated in this game and die. It's more of a problem in the summer. You can see here it's 83 degrees. It's pretty hot out. So what I like to do in the summer, and people will likely disagree with this, but I like to keep, you see how this guy's now just coming in out of the middle of nowhere? Yep. Where are these guys? You know, they're coming. Actually, I'm glad that just happened, because I can tell you where they came from. And this is, see, these things are happening now that I'm thinking about. That is another thing. If you are walking near a wall and you think you are safe, it is possible that zombies will hear you on the other side of this wall, and they might even see you from the house, and they will come around here and get you. So keep that in mind. This game is hyper realistic, like I said, and here's some more guys too. So I'm kind of giving you these tips as I go here. It's kind of like a playthrough. One thing that can be beneficial, but be careful about doing it too much, is are fences. Never underestimate fences. They can actually be your best friend, because if you hop it, now I wouldn't do it in this scenario, but if you hop it, it's easier to get like a big shot at, like here. I didn't do it fast, but you see the point. Now that will actually that will affect your stamina, so try not to do it too many times. But where I find it useful for fences is you are completely out of weapons. If I have a weapon, I usually don't do it. But if you don't have a weapon, it is really easy to hop this fence and then just head stomp. I'm not going to do that here because we're going to kill them. But just keep that in mind. But you will actually start to wear down if you do that too many. That being said, another big subject, which is a huge one. Learn how to ditch zombies. Yes, that is, maybe, if I said overconfidence was maybe the most important thing to realize and learn in this game, the other big thing is how to lose zombies. It is an art all unto itself, and it is something that if you really want to survive for a long time, it is something that you need to learn how to do. One of the best ways to lose a zombie, see, I'm going to try to actually lose this horde, is use doors. You can go through houses, but the biggest and easiest way to do it is this way, and it's almost like a no-brainer. Is to just simply hop a fence that they can't hop. And this is how I do it. And usually what I do is you just hop it, you're on the other side of it, and if you really want to make sure you lost them, maybe go through one of these, go through this. I wouldn't go upstairs, sorry. But you go run, go over through like past a building, make sure they absolutely lose them. Go through a couple buildings. After you do that, you definitely can say that you've lost them. So just keep that in mind. It's an art all unto itself. And I will tell you this. I actually sometimes, it's almost considered cheating because it's so easy to do. But a lot of times in the first couple days, I'll just do a couple huge pulls all the way to the edge of the map. Get them in a forest or go down to the school where there's a big fence and just lose them down there, because I'm not going to go down there, come back up here, and basically you got free reign of the whole place. So that's a good strategy to do. Okay, so what else do we need to talk about? Let me think about that. Oh, I know what I did want to talk about. Let's talk about weapons. Weapons, obviously, are hugely important. One of my favorite weapons in the game is the crowbar. But you will have a favorite. And I will tell you that as you go along, you will find certain weapons that you like. I like the crowbar. That's one of my favorite melee weapons. But you might like the axe. Like I said, though, keep in mind you need to understand the weapons that you have. For instance, the crowbar cannot be repaired. So just keep that in mind. If you do, I usually, if I get a crowbar, I try to save that for big. They're excellent in clearing hordes. I think it's one of the best weapons. So I usually will save that. I'll usually have, if it's just a single zombie, I will switch to the use the hot menu. And keep in mind, right here, I'm actually not even doing this correctly. This is why these buttons here are so huge. I actually wasn't even paying attention to these in the beginning, and I should have, because it is so easy to right click and equip it, and there you go. It's very easy to use, so do that. But you have to attach these. I guess that for these to show up, you have to attach these. So if you go here, you can see I've got this little green thing here. Yeah, and I've got this little, these mean these are attached, these two. And you can see here, I've got this little dot here. The crowbar, this hammer, is not attached. So that's just kind of taking up some space. Move it into your, keep an eye on weight management. You can see here my weight management is 12. If you cross that, you will get encumbered. Very, very important not to get encumbered. So only carry stuff in your primary slots that you need. But if you attach them, it also reduces the weight. I want to show that to you. It's very important to understand that. So again, I've got the hammer attached to my, we've got that attached to the right. This is attached to my left belt. But you can also put the crowbar on the back. And I just did that. Look, it reduced the weight. And now it's available from this hot menu. And I can now just switch these on the fly really easily. Actually, you should keep that equipped in both hands. But again, that's important to do. And what I usually like to do is I don't usually use this. I usually have like my hammer out or something else, or another good one is a pipe wrench, something like that. I'll have that out as the default because I don't want to wear down. Because you can repair the hammer. You can see there I can repair that, but I cannot repair the crossbow. The crowbar. So that's important to know. That's weapon management. Very important. Keep your weapons. Keep an eye on the condition. You can just highlight over it. It'll give you what the condition is. Always keep an eye on that. And this is the other point I want to make with weapons. Keep a backup weapon or two in your backpack. Very important. The general supplies I like to keep in my backpack are matches, nails. Like I said, I keep some backup weapons. Obviously, food. Bandages in case you get hurt, very important. I even usually have a alcohol wipe to deal with infections. These are some of the basic things. So make sure you get a backpack as soon as you can. It will make your life a lot easier in terms of weight management. The best thing you can get early on is the hiking bag. I believe the military bag's the best, but those are harder to find. But if you get a hiking bag, you are in good shape. I usually find those, and here's another thing, sort of tip. You will start to learn where things are. For instance, I was struggling with cars in the beginning, but if you look around, you zoom in, kind of look around, a lot of times you'll find the keys. This is, of course, before if you're not a burglar class or you don't have your skills high enough, you're going to have to find keys. But you can find them relatively easy simply by looking around on the ground. You might find the car keys. The other thing to do is to see if you can get in the car. You can always bash windows. That makes noise. Just keep in mind, you can actually bash the window and it'll start eventually. Actually, the crowbar is much better at bashing the window. But just keep in mind, I usually find, I want to say in the beginning week, I'll have 3 or 4 cars where I found the key. So it's not essential to, let's see if we can just find one here. I might have actually already searched for keys here. I can't remember. This actually is a game I was playing. Let's see. So you look in the glove compartment, and here's where you can find the keys. I'd say maybe 20% of the time, something like that. And I think I might have already searched this area. So that's another thing, knowing where things are. Now the other thing, let's do a little bit of I'm going to sprint. Sprinting is something you want to be careful of. If you sprint, it can lower your stamina. But it will. There's a big debate about that. Some people claim that it's better to sprint, because of weight, because of of your weight. Other people claim it's better to walk. There's a huge. You'll find threads on that. I'm not going to go into that here, but I generally try to walk, but I get lazy and I start sprinting. That's another thing that'll get you. So one of the things you want to know where you can find things. One of the biggest areas I find these hiking bags are in these big shelving units. You can find a lot of goodies in here. Duct tape, first aid kits. You can see there's some good things here. Duffel bag. Look, a duffel bag is actually right under the hiking bag. So you can find a fanny pack is actually good. I should actually take that. That's good. You can wear that with the hiking bag. So you can see now I've got the fanny pack and I've got the bike. So those two can actually go together. You can't wear two hiking bags, but you can also have a fanny pack. What I usually do with the fanny pack is I start to move my medical supplies into there. It doesn't hold a lot, but it's good to sort of, for organization wise, I'll use that for my medical supplies. So that's usually a good thing. Okay, let's talk about skills. It's something that, in fact, you know what? I'm gonna put the pause button here and go back to the base because I want to show you that some things. Okay, so we're back at the base, and here's a couple things I wanted to show you. We're going to talk about skills, a very, very important thing on this tab. Skills is something that you need to pay attention to, especially if you want to get into much longer survival runs. Fitness is a huge one. I think that's maybe the most important thing, having good fitness. And we're going to talk a little bit. I got this actually through having the athletic trait. It's one of my favorite traits. I usually take it no matter what type of build I have. And we're going to talk about traits in a little bit. But that's a big one. You can see you can even boost sprinting. Pretty much everything you do in this game pretty much will improve a skill. But it's the crafting ones we're going to talk about. By the way, I'm not going to talk about firearms, because I do not believe that's something you should be doing in the opening. That is, actually, I'm going to do a separate video for that, because that's a whole another subject. And it's actually not a thing you need to learn right away, how to use firearms. That's for much more advanced players, in my opinion. And I actually don't fire guns off a lot. It's not a thing I like to do, because it will basically, if for obvious reasons, it's going to bring a whole hell of a lot of zombies. And so it's not something I do. There are some select scenarios, like if I go to the prison or somewhere like that, usually I go locked and loaded. I find it useful in some respects. But instead of trying to shoot them down, I find it easier, just what I showed you earlier in the video, just to do a big pull and get rid of them and dump them somewhere else, rather than firing off a million gunshots. But again, so don't worry about that. Okay, so what are the most important skills that I think are important? Nimble's actually extremely important, and you get that through that's a really hard one to level. Sneaking, another big one, but I don't worry about these early. The ones that I want to improve are my favorite weapons. Now, I said that a crowbar is a big one. Well, you can see I've got the blunt way up. You're just by using it, you're going to improve it. So that's a big one. Whatever weapon you use the most, you're probably automatically going to level that, so you don't have to worry about it. Crafting is, though, that's where it's all at. Crafting. These are the big ones. I would say carpentry at a level 4 is very important, because you can build these water barrels. Yes, and the water will run out in the game. Yes, it will. Within 30 days, it's gone. But if you collect these water barrels, you can, the water is tainted. It says it right there, tainted water. How do you get that untainted? Well, I usually put a campfire right by it, and you can boil the water. Or if you have electricity, which I do, you can literally just take that water up in your oven and boil it up there. So a big one is carpentry. Minimum, I would say, level 4, and get some water barrels out. Keep in mind, zombies might destroy these. So if you get a sledgehammer, which I do not have yet, that's another big find. You can blast a hole through here, and you can put everything on the roof. Roofs if you get on a roof and you get water barrels, you are in really good shape. This is not an ideal situation, but it's the only situation I have right now. Cooking is extremely important. In fact, if you get to the end of it, you can actually cook rotten food. I don't think you get a big nutritional thing out, but it will at least satisfy your hunger. There is a difference between nutrition and hunger, as you probably well know. So, but this isn't a big one. The priority for me is carpentry, mechanics, electrical, and metalworking. Now, in this build, I did not take the electrician, so I was able to find the generator manual. If you want to guarantee that you're going to be able to have a generator going, pretty much guarantee it, you will want to take the electrical skill, and I will talk about that. But mechanics is big. Like I said, do not work on cars outside. I generally will pull a car in here. Obviously, I can't do that now, so we're going to have to, I probably will build a wall here or something that has a more secure area where I can work on my cars. But so I would say carpentry number one for me, tailoring, mechanics, electrical. Those are big. And then later on, you want to start working on fishing, trapping, and foraging. I'm not a big trapper. I don't like trapping. I like fishing. Fishing I find much easier to do. I'm not a big farmer. Farmer requires a lot of micromanagement, but maybe that's your thing. If you do farming, and I've got farming supplies up here, I haven't started it yet. You'll need seeds, rakes, all the usual things, shovels. And I'm probably going to put it right in here and then build another wall. But keep in mind the zombies can trample over the stuff you're making. So if you get a sledgehammer, by all means build. You can actually, if you get sacks, you can put dirt in sacks and you can actually build a garden up there much safer. Anything you can do on a roof is going to be huge in terms of your survival. Okay, so that's kind of a basic rundown on the skills. The other thing is you can see these little arrows here. That means I have a multiplier. If I highlight over first aid, I don't have a multiplier. But if I highlight over this, you can see I have a multiplier of 3. This is fundamental early on. You want to, and how do you get that? You get that by reading books. So you really don't want to do any skill advancement without reading books. This will only take me to level 2. Once I get to these levels, I'll need to read more advanced books. So keep in mind, collecting books, very important. You get those in libraries, other places like that. You'll find them on loot runs in houses and such. So just keep that in mind. If you go to the info tab, you will see the traits you have. These are the traits that I took when I formed my character. And we're going to talk about this. High thirst. It's really easy to get water. That's a negative trait. We're going to talk a little bit more about that, but I just wanted to show you where you can access them. But I will say quickly, high thirst is, for me, is a no-brainer. There's so much water in the game. You can see I've got those water barrels. Even after the power goes out and the water goes out, you can still get water from toilets, faucets, almost an endless amount. And worst case scenario, you have to go to a lake, but you can get water. So I always take that. Conspicuous, some people might argue, but I actually want to be conspicuous because I want that zombie to see me, so I kill it. I don't know, that may sound very weird. I take clumsy, short-sighted. I've tested that both on and off. And I don't know. I don't think it really affects me that much, so I take that one. Slow reader. Now, you can always speed the game up through these buttons. So if you're reading something, you can simply hit this and it'll speed it up. I don't think slow reader is a bad negative trait. That is a negative trait. These are all the negative traits I got. Speed demon, that's one of my positive traits. That means you can drive fast. I'm starting to rethink that a little bit. Driving fast I'm starting to rethink that because I am a terrible driver and I always get in accidents. Now, if you have like the quickest reflexes ever, but I find I bash into stuff, destroy my cars, I'm starting to rethink taking that one. Cat's Eyes is a must. I don't think there's a single build that I do not take Cat's Eyes now, simply because you can see at night. It's a huge one. Wakeful, I'm starting to rethink that one a little bit too, because we're going to talk a little bit about weight, but it kind of affects. I don't think it's the biggest deal. But now, if you do want to do like a lot of nighttime work and stuff, it goes hand in hand, by the way, with cat's eyes. I should say that if I take cat's eyes, I'm probably going to take wakeful. Iron gut. That's important. We'll talk about a little bit more about that one. Fast learner is good because it increases your skills faster. And maybe the most important one is athletic. Now, we talked about that increases your fitness level. That is really hard to level, I will tell you. So that's one of the reasons I take athletic, because it's your endurance, all these things improved. That's a good one. Okay, let's talk about a very, very, very important subject, which when I started out, I was not paying attention to this, and I paid for it. Weight. Now, there's three things you can see here. You can see my weight, 79 kilograms. It's something you need to keep an eye on, not on a daily basis, but I would definitely keep an eye on it. I like to have a weight range between 75 and 85 kilograms. I believe that is the normal range. Might be wrong. Maybe it's 70. But if you start to go over 85, or you start to fall below, it's either 74 or 70. I can't remember. You are going to come here and see a trait that says underweight or overweight. And those will, those have, if you're underweight, you're not going to do as much damage. If you're overweight, you're going to do more damage, but you're going to also, your stamina and stuff is going to take a hit. So just keep in mind, weight management is huge. And how do you gain or lose weight? Usually I find myself not struggling to maintain weight. But how do you do that? Well, it's going to depend on calories. That's what it comes down to. You have to consume, it's just like real life. You consume more calories than you're burning, you are going to put weight on. Ice cream, that's a good one if you need to put weight on. You come here, let's see if it even affects this arrow. I might be lucky, because I want to show you this. You eat this ice cream, and we'll see here if, usually you got to eat a couple of these in a row, but it might actually stop us from losing weight. No, it didn't, but let's see what else we got. Butter, 3,000 calories. Let's see. This is going to affect it. Now watch. So this is what you want to keep an eye on. You want to keep an eye on this. And look, now we got a double arrow. We just ate so many calories. Now we're gaining weight. If you eat, what do I want here? Boolean cube. I don't even know what that is. If we come here and eat some, the tortilla chips. This is a good example. That just has 42 calories. That's probably not going to shift you either way. It's just going to satisfy your hunger, but it's not really going to cause you to gain weight. Cereal, massive gain weight there. But the chocolate, that'll put on some weight. Lard, that has 4,000 calories. That's going to put on some weight. But the tomato paste, 100 calories, that's probably not going to affect you. So while we're on the topic of food, two types of foods. The one we just ate, the ice cream, this bacon here, this is fresh. You see fresh, that means it's going to rot. If it's not refrigerated, it's going to rot. It will rot quicker. If it's not in a fridge at all, obviously it'll rot. Now, what I failed to do in the beginning of this game, and this is a big strategy of mine now, what I try to do is gather as many foods as I can, fresh foods, and put them in the freezer. Let's move that to the freezer. Freeze stuff. I freeze everything that's fresh now. Apples, oranges, throw it all in there because it's going to last a lot longer. So anything that's got that fresh, you want to get into the freezer so you can save that a lot longer. Once you've consumed those supplies, then you go to the foods that do not deteriorate. These do not have the fresh label, and you'll start to go after those. But I actually, in the beginning part of the game, I'm trying to gather as many fresh foods as I can and put them in the freezer. And I will actually go to the gas station's a good one, and the supermarkets, and take their freezers, bring them back here, put them in here, and just load up as many fresh supplies as I can get within the first 30 days. And your food supplies will last a lot longer. Now you don't have to do that, and then you've got to start fishing if you run out of food. But it's going to be a while before you run out of food. You have a long time, many months before you're going to go through it. But you do have to think long term, and that's where fishing and foraging come into play. So foraging is done by here. You hit this little, I guess this magnifying glass. You hit the enable search mode and you will start foraging. We're likely not going to find anything in here. Well, you will find anything, I think, that's on the floor. But you want to obviously do that in the daytime. You obviously want to keep getting that skill up. And you'll start to find all kinds of things, including food. So foraging is a one that you don't want to... It's easy to not think about it at all. Picking stuff up can be an important thing to do. For instance, one thing I haven't done yet. I want to get out of this mode. Okay. Disable foraging. There we go. Did I disable it? There we go. One thing, and I haven't done it in this video. One thing, did I destroy all my beds? What was I doing? No, I kept a bed. One thing I often do is pick up the bed. You hit here. And I'm not going to do it because I want to keep my beds here, but sometimes I will eventually I will do this. You pick up the bed and like I said, you just do it here, you highlight over, hit the pickup, and then you'll get like 2 boards. You pick up those boards and you bring them down here and you can drop them. A lot of times, at least in this base, I'll get everything down here, including the fridge, the freezers. I'll have it all just out here so that I don't have to go. I'll even move the oven down here. And I'll put my bed here, so I want everything in just one big room. It makes things a lot easier. It's nice in terms of the base organization. Okay, so we've talked about items, and I guess one of the things that I want to impress upon you is, first of all, the big one, the most important item, which I don't have yet, is the sledgehammer. That's one you want to keep an eye out for. Also, don't forget to get garbage bags. I already took the garbage bag out of here, but if you come to a trash can, they weigh almost nothing. Keep collecting garbage. Here's one. This is at my base, but you collect those when you're on loot runs because you'll see them, and then when you run out of water, you're gonna be like, oh, I gotta go build some water barrels, but I don't have any garbage bags. So garbage bags, that's a big one. Pick up wrenches are good to get. You need wrenches, stuff like that. You'll start to get a list. You'll build a list of what you'll notice the things. Tailoring supplies, I'm always on the lookout for. And tailoring, that is a huge thing you want to start working on right away. What do you need for tailoring? Well, you need scissors. You need a needle, which is in sewing kits. If you see a needle, you got a sewing kit, and thread. Thread you can get just simply by ripping clothes. Scissors allow you to rip those clothes up. And I also keep the supplies that I want. Like if I can, these denim jeans, you can rip denim. And actually, let's do that. Let's actually do a quick run through on this because it is so important. So I'm going to get some scissors here. Just going to put them in my primary thing. We're going to get these denim jeans. We're going to get the needle. We need a needle. And we need some thread. Those are the things you need. So if you go to your character now, and you go to him and where his clothes are, I'm sorry. No, I'm in the wrong place. You go right here let's go to denim shirt. You hit, actually a more realistic thing would be start with a jacket. That's usually the place. By the way, some items you cannot repair and you cannot add protection. Like the bulletproof vest is awesome, but that cannot be repaired. The leather jacket, that has some holes. I can repair that. So you do that by inspecting it. You right click on it. And it says here we need some fabric though. Where do we get the fabric? Well, we can get, the 2 big ones are leather strips and denim. So we're gonna rip up this denim. You can see there, we're ripping it up with the scissors. We've got some denim strips now. We come back here and now it's going to let us patch the hole or, so we patch that hole. Very important to keep holes patched. So keep those patched. You can also add some padding, which gives you more protection. So we're doing that. And all the while, you are increasing your tailoring skill, which is very, very huge. that might be actually right up there with carpentry. Those are the two that I start working on, because you can get to the point where if you get your tailoring all the way up, I don't want to say you're invincible, but it's going to be really hard, especially if you have multiple layers of clothes. Usually what I'll have on is a jacket, which is completely padded. You can see there's the pad that I put on, by the way. You can actually see them. I'll have everything pretty much padded up. And I would have pants. While actually, the reason I'm kind of wearing the shorts here is because I had some heat issues. And usually you're going to get attacked up top. But this is a risk. Probably should have pants here and fully padded. That is risk. But I find most of the attacks I get come up top, less in the bottom area. But it is important, though, not to forget this. You might want to put some military boots on, some pants, get those padded up. But just keep in mind there's trade-offs. And the one is you're going to overheat a lot quicker. So I generally don't get bitten as much. And again, this is going to basically depend on, how, as you become better and better at this game, you're probably going to be, they're probably going to grab you less and less. Okay, so let's now finally talk about a very important subject when you're creating the game. Okay, so when you first come into the game, you're going to have the option to hit solo. I'm assuming you're doing solo, but hit solo, and there's 4 different main play style, and there's also challenges. Forget about the challenges. You can do these later on. My favorite one, by the way, is Kingsmith Island. But anyways, you can do those later on. The most important thing, you're coming here, there's 4 modes. Apocalypse is just what it says. This is one of the hardest modes. I do not recommend that if you are first starting out to not play this. Survivor is the standard mode. It's the most popular mode. It's the one I play the most. And that is another one I do not recommend. Builder, just what it says. Construction, exploration, farming focus, a more relaxed experience. If you are just starting out, first I would recommend you do the tutorial, but then I would recommend you do Builder. Because you are going to have an opportunity to learn the mechanics. But I would go even one farther. I would start a custom sandbox and come here. I would pick Rosewood. And then what I would do is set the population to low or none. But probably low. You want a little bit of stuff going on. So low. And then what I would do is, let's look through some of these. I would shut the water off to 6 to 12 months, the electricity to 6 to 12 months. Lower these if you're, like I said, this is just your very, very first game. Definitely lower those. It's going to lower those. Don't want to have to worry about food in the beginning or water. You're just starting out. You want to learn other mechanics like tailoring, things like that, other mechanics in the game. Let's go to nature. I don't think you need to really screw around with this. I would turn off the helicopter event. Yes, set all these to never. Helicopter, and I'm glad I actually saw that. You will, I think it's within the first 10 days or 7 days, you'll have a helicopter that you'll hear. And it used to be a problem. It's less of a problem for me now. But if you're indoors and you hear it, chances are, and you've cleared all the zombies around your area, it's probably going to be a nothing burger. But if you are out in the open and there's a lot of zombies around, this is a disaster. You have to basically wait it out. But I would turn that off. Don't need to worry about that. Let's go to meta. This isn't anything really here. Loot rarity, you might want to set these up high so you're not worrying about food. Bump up the canned foods. Give yourself melee weapons. I mean, go ahead, feel free. And don't feel bad about it. You're trying to learn how the game works. You're trying to learn how to fight a little bit. Go do that. Give yourself a starter kit. Big one. That'll give you baseball bat, hammer, all the stuff, essentials to get you going right away. Don't even hesitate to give yourself some points. Yeah, trait points. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. Maybe give yourself, don't even bother. Just give yourself 100 so you can get a bunch of them. And you may even want to, now the vehicles, I don't know if I'd screw around with this because you want to learn how to use vehicles. So that's a big one. So I might just keep this, you might want to keep that in the standard, whatever the default settings are. Make sure, by the way, the save preset, and I just did it myself, is builder. Make sure you select that before you start changing these. Population multipliers are important. You might just keep those as default. So you hit next at that point. You can even save it, by the way. If you have a certain, and I've done that before, you save a preset sandbox options. This game, they thought of everything. So you hit next. Now here's where we come to the big, this is the big enchilada. Traits. Now, the way this works is you got 8 traits. You are currently unemployed. If you pick any of these traits, you're going to notice these points, you're going to have less points to spend. You might even be in a negative balance. And you must be at even or a positive balance to hit the next button. Now, again, we'll talk briefly about some of these guys. Carpenter's a good one. Burglar, when I first started out, I would take this all the time. I never take this now because it's easy for me to level up using vehicles. So I rarely take this, but it's not a bad one to start with if you're just starting out and you want to get in some cars. It will give you the ability to hotwire cars right away. So it might not be a bad one if you're just beginning and you want to play around. But later on, I think you're going to find that you're going to pick some other ones. I even go unemployed now. I actually go unemployed a lot. But some of the ones I think are really good, obviously Carpenter, let's see here. Let me look through these. Security guard's good. Let's see what else. Veteran is really good. That's a good one. But again, that's more if you're going to be doing some shooting. Probably not. Lumberjack, really good. It doesn't cost, look, it didn't cost a lot of points. We're still, that's the one thing about Lumberjack's really nice. You get the axe bonus, and we're still, I mean, you could literally, you can still hit the next button. We didn't go into negative balance on points. So that's good. But watch what happens when I go to Veteran. Now I'm -8. I've got to pick some negative traits to get that back to 0. So just keep that in mind. Some of these cost a lot more. But the big one I've been using recently, a lot of, is Electrician. And the reason why is it gives you some fitness, gives you some strength, but the electrical. But here's the most important thing. You can operate generators without finding that generator manual. I've had some runs where I could not for the life of me. I went to all the libraries. I went everywhere. I checked all the mailboxes. I checked all the houses, and I could not find the generator manual. Here, you don't need it. So I find that Electrician is a lot better than Burglar because it's easier also to sort of work on cars and get that leveled, I think, than Electricity. Anyways, this is one I've been using more often than not. The other traits I like, I think we went through this. I like Cat's Eyes. Athletic, I really like Athletic a lot. Where is that? It's all the way. It's a big one, but it gives you fitness, and fitness is very hard to level in this game. So that's one I usually almost always take. But what you need to learn, what I actually recommend, forget about these. These seem obvious. You'll look through these. The ones you want to learn how to use are to play with the negative traits. Now, you can see here we got a -14 balance. Well, we got to make that up now. I can't even hit the next button. I think I told you slow reader, that's one. Weak stomach, I usually take that. We'll see if we can get back to normal here. Clumsy, I usually take that. I don't like transferring inventory items slowly. That can be a lot of pain. You're doing big loot runs. I find that annoying. I hate being panicked. Nope, don't take that. Short-sighted, I like that one. Claustrophobic, and I don't like anything phobic. Conspicuous, I don't have a problem with that. Now, some people might argue with that. Hard of hearing, I would never take this. Hearing is hugely important in this game, and I find that that's just not a good idea. And you really want to tempt fate, go deaf. I don't know anybody that would take deaf. I mean that's just if you can survive with deaf, you're doing something right. Sunday Driver was one I used to take, and that can get you killed, especially if you have to do some off-roading. Not a good one to take. I do not take that anymore.
But the big one, smoker, this is pretty easy. It's easy to find cigarettes. That's one. Unlucky, you can take that one. I don't, it will affect it, but I don't think that's a bad one to take either if you take it. High thirst is I used to when I first started out, I was actually doing something terrible. I was taking less thirsty. There's one up here which makes you have to drink less, but I had that all wrong. I started to think there's so much water here. So that one is without a doubt the top one. And so that's one I take. So make a long story short, you can now save this and make sure you save it, especially if I actually save it no matter what, because if you like it, you might not remember exactly what you did. Maybe you will, but I think it's a good idea to take it. You can see I even got an electrical class here, which is similar to what we just did. Yeah. So I took Brave, Outdoorsman. Outdoorsman's good. I believe you can walk through trees and not have to worry about getting scratched. If you don't have that, be careful about walking through trees. That's simple. So if you save that, you hit next. Finally, you come to your character screen, and again, you can take a save here. You can customize somebody and save them. So that is the game at a very basic level. I hope I didn't miss any major topics. But if you need me, I might actually do another one on if I did miss any topics. Let me know in the comments, and I might even do a part 2 to this. But thanks for watching.